Oh yeah, I mean the Seattle channel was chill. Like they've just been supportive for years.
No
Also
doubt.
KXP, like I did a similar performance here at KXP uh, for that song and other songs off that record. Color People's Time Machine was the title song off the album with that same name. Uh, it's basically like the term Color People's Time. It's like it kind of has like a we make fun of ourselves, but it also has a negative
Connotation.
connotation that
Right.
people of color are always late.
Right.
So it's like it's kind of like poking fun and pushing back on that. It's like it's saying that no, like music is time. All forms of American music are rooted in people of color's expression, particularly black people's expression.
Right.
Um, and music is something that can, take you to the future or connect you to the origins of all things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
music is our time machine.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No doubt. That makes sense.
So that's kind of where Color People's Time Machine came about. It also came from this Ethiopian elder that I met in D.C. who said, he said it wasn't until I moved west that time became a commodity. Here, time is something that we always chase. It's something that we can lose. It's something that slips through your hands.
Hmm.
He said, here in America, time moves, but back home, I move through time. And it just made so much sense to me. Like time is a cultural construct.
No
So
doubt.
that's kind of where Color People's Time Machine came from. And the album was actually the longest time I ever spent working on an album was the record for Color People's Time Machine because it was the follow up to Love Work, and Love Work was like that was my album that it wasn't my first album, but people always talk about it like it's my debut because it was the album that really got me onto a national and international
Right.
stage. You know what I mean? It's the album that people still talk about the most.
Okay.
And
The Love Album.
the Love Work.
Love Work.
You love work. And Time Machine was 5 years later. I didn't make solo songs for a couple of years after Love Work. Like I went into this time of like deep depression because, we did Love Work and Blue Scholars and Common Market were like the biggest, rap groups in Seattle at the time. I was opening for them all the time and we had white audiences.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And like we were selling out the Showbox in these big venues and people from my neighborhood and my community were coming to these shows and they're coming up to me afterwards and were like, "Yeah, that's cool. Your performance was good, but we just feel like this isn't for us." And it was interesting because it was the time that I was like, in some senses, the most successful, and I had never felt like more of a failure
Wow.
because it was the first time that I felt like, dang, like I feel like my music is being used by a system that's taking the music away from its people. So in a time that I should have, for some people, like probably should have went super hard with music and tried to tour the country and go national and do all this stuff. I took 10 steps back and like said, let me work in my community. Let me teach these classes. Let me help Hidmo. Let me help this like community center
Right.
disguised as an Eritrean restaurant, 20th and Jackson, become a spot for younger people to have a voice. Let me
Right.
let me do all these other things to help build up my community
Right.
because that's what I need for my spirit right now.
Exactly.
Otherwise, my spirit is just going to be broken by this industry.
Man.
You know what I mean? So after Love Work came out, I didn't even make a solo song for probably like a good 2 years, man.